Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to go through everybody and we are going to pre-prep for our fall breeding. It is getting super close to fall here in Maine. We are in September, mostly to get some of the spring does proven. We raise inside and outside, so come winter time, most of our does are not interested in having kits. They're not interested in even entertaining a buck. So we do one last fall breeding to get all of our spring does ready and proven, as well as to try new combos with bucks and does that we have bred in the springtime. The spring does give us a little bit of information on what each pair gives us. We have the offspring from spring to show us what those combinations have created. So now we can like take it a step further and we can try some new combos before winter hits, and then we are like done breeding for at least 4 months. So today we are going to go through everything that we do to pre-prep, show you how we do it, and then we're going to go over some like tips and tricks for breeding, what to look for, what to avoid. All of the breeding that we're going to do today is going to be at barn A. We aren't sure what we're going to do for fall breeding at barn B yet, so if we do decide to do any of that, it'll be in another video. And this video is going to kind of serve as a beginner's guide to breeding, as well as an overall vlog. So yeah, just come hang out with me. We're going to breed some rabbits. I'm going to show you what we do and what our process is, and we can go from there. First, we're going to go over some tools that we use to sanitize. We do use bleach. So we rinse the nest boxes and then we scrub them. So to do this, we use a pump sprayer with bleach and a scrub brush. You can use a spray bottle with bleach or any type of sanitizer solution, but I find that the pump sprayer works better for like wrists. I have bad wrists. I have carpal tunnel because I do a lot of repetitive movement. So I find that the pump sprayer is actually easier on my wrist because I'm using my elbow versus all of these tendons to spray. I also like to really get it saturated, and then I like to rinse it again and air dry it. Really quick before we start getting into it, I'm going to go over the difference between some nesting boxes that we have and what we prefer. So these are just some generic non-named brands that we used prior to finding KW cages, and they come with this wooden floor slat instead of a metal one or a wire one. If you're new to raising rabbits in any type of situation, it's extremely hard to keep wood clean, like extremely hard. So with the wooden slat boxes, it's hard to get them clean. It's hard to keep them clean. Babies will be defecating and urinating in them the whole time that they're in the nest box for about 4 weeks. So they just get really dirty and they don't stay clean. And the ease of use is lowered. They're harder to use mostly because you have to really scrub that wood, and then you have to hope that that wood doesn't warp when it dries. That's happened before. We've lost about a dozen of these wooden bottoms. We're gonna use, we do use these just because we have them, but as soon as it becomes easier to replace them with the bigger KW ones with the metal floors, we will. So our KW ones come with these floor slats. These are so much nicer. They're so much easier to keep clean. You can bleach them without having any issue. You can scrub them really good. They're not gonna, they're solid. Nothing's gonna happen to them. So if you haven't gotten any supplies yet, any nest boxes, go with nest boxes that have the solid bottoms or the wire bottoms. So much easier to take care of, so much easier to clean. Avoid wood when you can. thing might look clean, but it's absolutely not. Now, the biggest reason that we clean and sanitize our nest boxes are A, to give the kits the best chance of success. We don't want any type of disease to spread to any babies. We want to do the best we can to give them as much of a clean environment as we can. And then also to get the sense of other does off of those nest boxes. I don't have nest boxes for all of my does. I usually have 6 rotating. So I only do 6 breedings at a time, and then I stagger. So a couple weeks after kindling, I'll do another section of breeding. You can never get the scent of other kits and does out of wood. It just permeates. It's an extremely porous material. It's extremely porous. It collects everything, plus bleach. So you have to be really careful, and we have to spend twice as much time trying to get any type of bleach residue out of it. They also take twice as long to dry as opposed to the metal ones. These guys take forever, and if there's any rain incoming, they have to be stored inside. I can't just like leave mid-project and leave them out to get rained on like the metal ones. Bleach time. Okay, pump, pump, spray. See how easy that is? If you have sensitive skin, wear gloves, or maybe even a long sleeve shirt. Okay, now that the nest boxes are done and out of the way, we are going to check our notebook. I've written down all of the open animals that we have. I've noted what's going on with their type, their fur, their personality, all that good stuff. And then I have paired them with a herd sire. So we do 2 does at a time. We cover 2 does at a time so that they have about the same kindle date. And then from there, we will actually succession breed. So we'll do another 2 does next week and then another 2 does next week. So Esme is going to be covered by Preston. Vera, which is a new doe that I got from Root Down, who also needs to be proven this season, is going to go with Zaphod. So Esme has a lot of depth. She's lacking some shoulder width. Now, Preston has that shoulder width, but he doesn't have as much depth. So putting them together will hopefully make kits that will have mom's depth and dad's shoulders. And Vera is really compact. She has small ears and a small tail. I don't super love the small ears. Zaphod has really big ears. Before we show you any type of breeding, we are going to go over the foundation kind of rules of successful breeding. Rule 1, never bring a buck to a doe's cage. Does can be extremely territorial. They can attack the buck, they can hurt the buck, they can hurt themselves. You never want to bring a buck to a doe's cage. Second, it's less of a rule and more of a tips and tricks. You're going to want to get at least 3 fall-offs. And what that means is that the buck has sort of hit his mark and has covered the doe. So you want at least 3. I like to shoot for 4. That's almost a guarantee. Some does will not allow it. Some does will allow more. It just depends on the doe and the buck. The first fall-off is to stimulate the doe into ovulating because they do not have a natural cycle. The second covering is to hit the mark and hopefully get her inseminated. And then the third is just one of those, like, to make sure. And then again, for me, I like a 4th or a 5th if the doe will allow it. But you're going to want to judge your doe based off of how she reacts. We're going to show you a little bit of how that works. We'll show you what a fall off looks like. The third and most important rule: do not leave your does and bucks together. There are some YouTube channels, there are some barns that will say that it's perfectly fine, and that's fine. We've been around for a while. So we have seen does attack bucks. We've seen bucks be a little bit too aggressive with does. We've seen a lot. And so our rule of thumb is we don't leave the vicinity. We keep eyes on the bucks and the does the whole time until we get at least 3 fall-offs or if things start to get a little bit hairy, the doe decides that she's no longer interested, or the buck gets a little bit too aggressive, leaving them together can cause issues. We've seen $150 does get hurt. We've seen $300 bucks get hurt. And with the amount of animals and the amount of money that we have into this process, it's just not worth it to us to leave them alone. There are a few does here that I would trust not to hurt a buck or themselves if I left them, but I can't do that. I can't risk it. And it's really up to you if you want to risk that. But if you're just starting out, it's way more valuable to you to be there during that whole process. And another sort of tips and trick rules type of situation, only breed the does that you have boxes for. Do not get yourself into a situation where you breed everybody and you do not have enough boxes. Sometimes there can be shipping issues if you try to buy more while you have pregnant does. Sometimes you forget that you have that you've bred everybody and that you need boxes. There's so many different things that can happen. So only breed to the amount of boxes that you have. Now, we have a process of what we do with does after they've been bred. It involves weighing them at their base weight. So because we don't palpate here, we have not had enough experience. We also don't seem to, it doesn't seem to matter for us. It doesn't really, we've palpated like 3 does and we couldn't feel anything, and then they all ended up being pregnant with 8 kits. So we're just not well trained and not well versed. So what we do is we get their base weight, and then halfway through their gestation, we weigh them again. And if they have increased in weight a little bit, we assume that they're pregnant and they get a box. That process has worked out for us, but again, every barn is different. If you want to try to learn how to palpate, there are plenty of resources. A word of warning though, if done incorrectly, it can be a little bit dangerous. It can make does have issues kindling, which again is why we don't really do it. We have animals that are worth $300 here at our farm, and we just don't want to risk it. We palpated a couple times and we've lost 1 doe in the process, and it's just one of those things that it isn't worth it to us. Maybe it's worth it to you, but we are not well versed, so we don't teach it here on our channel. So we're gonna do Esme first. We're gonna get her out, we're gonna check her over, we're gonna do her nails, and we're gonna get her weight, and then we will put her in with Preston and we will show you what that looks like. Fair warning though, everyone is blowing their coat, which means they are shedding to grow that nice undercoat for the cold. So Preston looks a little bit rough right now. There's nothing wrong with him. He's just shedding, and we haven't had a chance to brush him out or blow him out with our grooming tools. Whew, Esme, you're also blowing your coat. Oof, yucky. Yeah, see, you can just she's shedding so bad you can just pull it right out. Just for reference, if you stack her up, she has a crazy amount of depth. And she doesn't have as much shoulder width as I'd like, but it's not too bad. It's there. But she really just needs a little bit more beefing out. But despite everything, despite going through molt, she still looks really nice. Huh, kiddo? Okie dokie. That's at 0. Woo! You're a big lady. 10 pounds. My goodness. My goodness. Okay. See how she's lifting? Woo! Look at that. That was successful. Oh my goodness. Wow. So you're looking for 3 of those at least. You see Preston still has a coat that needs to come out. I have to take the brush to him. So Preston is not usually an aggressive breeder, so we might only get 2 out of them, but I know that it hasn't been hot for a few weeks, So there's no heat sterility going on. So there's a solid chance that even with 2, she will be covered. Sometimes when they put themselves up in a corner like that, that means that they're sort of done. So I'll give her one more section of time, and then I'll move her and see if she's willing to lift again. But essentially that lift that you saw, that's her willingness to breed. And then sitting on her haunches like she is right now, that's an unwillingness to breed. So you can kind of see she's sort of like pushed her rump right up against that wooden part of his hutch. I think we are probably only going to get 2 fall-offs from them today. We could bring her back out tonight and see if she's willing to get another 2. But past 24 hours, we don't want to bring her out to breed again. Hi, Preston. You're cute. So Zafe is a little bit smaller, but he's also a little bit younger. I think he is about 5.5 months, but he has been showing interest. So we're gonna try him with Vera, and we're gonna see how that goes. So both of these guys are unproven. So he's never had a litter, or he's never sired a litter, and she's never had one. So with unproven to unproven, you really want to pay attention. You want to make sure that the doe is as comfortable as she can be. You want to be concentrating on body language, because I've seen does be fine with the first fall off and then turn around and decide that they are not okay. And then you have to take them out immediately, otherwise fighting will ensue. And that means that sometimes she's just not ready, or he's not ready. And then usually a couple weeks after, or a couple days after, I'll try them with a different pairing and see if we can get them proven that way. Okay, same process with her. We're gonna do her fingernails, they're a bit long. And then we're gonna get a weight on her. And then we will send her over to the buck. She's nice. It's a good thing she's going with Zafe, because she does need a little bit of extra loin, but she has decent shoulders. Again, I'd like them to just be a little bit bigger. So she's lacking in the loin width, so this pairing will be advantageous. It's okay. Good girl. Nice. 8.5. Okay. So I'm gonna leave the camera right here just in case I need to interject. Hello. Hi. Hi. Ooh. So she's sitting on her haunches a bit, and he's kind of stimulating the back of her, the way he like beats on her back. So hopefully we can get her thinking about it. We may have to come out and try these does again later tonight, but if we get no fall-offs from Vera, we can keep trying. But if we don't get any more fall-offs from Esme, because she's got 2 fall-offs, we will just mark her bred. Hi, dude. And then we will plan. We'll plan for her to be pregnant. But we'll try Vera until we get at least 1 fall-off, and then we can assume that she's pregnant. But again, she's unproven. She doesn't quite understand what's going on, but she's not being aggressive. So that means that that's a good thing. Because some does, when they don't know what the process looks like, they turn aggressive, and then they decide to attack the buck. We don't really like to keep does like that, but you know, if they continuously do it over, you know, 2 or 3 different pairings, then we will get rid of them. We'll cull them. But this is a really good thing to see. All she's doing is, hello. All she's doing is getting down on her haunches. She's not really, you know, she's not turning around. She's not being aggressive. So that's a good sign. That means eventually she'll be receptive. But Dude, she's not. It's normal for bucks to pull hair out. It's fine. That's not really the aggressive situation. You know, tufts of hair here and there in their mouths is not indicative of aggression. But if it starts to really fly, and both animals are pulling fur out of each other, that's when you gotta separate, because that's when things will start to go a little bit bad. But a lot of breeders will tell you that when you make your first proven, you wanna put rabbits. You want to put an inexperienced doe with an experienced buck, or vice versa, to sort of teach them how things work. And most of the time I agree with that, but I would rather try them first. And if she just isn't interested, then I'll put her with a buck that knows his job, just to get her proven for the year. And then whatever kits they produce will they'll either be decent, or we will just put them in the freezer. I think we're gonna have to do a second round later on tonight. Yeah, so she's just not interested. She's not lifting. You saw the difference between, you know, the first lift on Esme versus what she's doing right now. She's tucking her butt. She's sort of, you know, making it inaccessible. She's not super interested. I think we're gonna get anywhere with these two, so we're gonna come back later on tonight and we'll get footage of that. Not too much later, maybe a couple hours from now, but as of right now, 2 fall-offs on Esme, no fall-offs on Vera. So we'll see you back here in a couple hours. All right, it is now tonight, and we're gonna see if she's more receptive. It's already looking like she's not gonna get another fall off. Oh, Preston, you look awful. We're gonna have to do a short tomorrow on how we brush you guys when you blow your coat this bad. So it does not look like she is receptive, so we're just going to put on the calendar that she's been bred and hope that she kindles. And then we are going to go try Vera and Zaphod again. Okay, it's the next day. It was super rainy this morning, so we did everything off camera. But we went ahead and we set Esme up as pregnant in our system, and then we tried Vera. Still no fall-offs. She is pretty resistant to both Dublin and Zaphod, so we're just gonna move her on to the next set of breedings. But we did include Pella. She did get 1 fall off, so again we're going to repeat the process. We're going to go ahead and we're going to breed her again tonight. We're not going to get that on film because our video is getting pretty long at this point, so we're just going to sign off. There's going to be plenty more breedings, so essentially there will be more and more video. So if you are interested in seeing more breedings, again, hanging out with us while we do, you know, our daily tasks, all that stuff, just hit that subscribe button. Thanks for hanging out with us. We look forward to seeing you in the next set of videos. Bye.